Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today we will continue with our objects. This is the second part of that episode and we will finish it today. I will keep this intro short so we can get working right away. And as a reminder, all of the code and assets can be found on my website or on GitHub. If you have questions about this tutorial, or maybe you get stuck somewhere, check out the Discord link. And if you want to go the extra mile to show your support, there's a link below where you can buy me a coffee. Even though I don't drink coffee, I'm a tea guy. In the first part, we started the groundwork for our objects. We began to import the sprites that we will use. There will be a lot of similarities between the different types of objects, so we needed a superclass for them. That allows us to keep the potion and game container classes smaller and just add a code that is specific for that object. Towards the end of the last video, we created our object manager that will take care of our objects, just like the enemy manager do for our enemies. And in the end, we had some objects showing. And now, let's finish this. To be able to load our potions and our containers from the actual level files, we need to first add those values to our level files. And this is the first time we're going to use the blue color in our levels. So this is level 3. Let's go to level 1 first. And let's just set a 0 and 1 there. 1 next to that one, 2 and 3. And let's, you know what, let's just copy this and paste it in a other level as well as this one. We can place it there. And then all we need to do is to overwrite them to make sure they are saved with that, like so. And now we shall go to our level class and add whatever we need to add so that we can store our potions and our containers in each level. So right at the top here where we have our Krabby list, we add 2 more, but this one will be for potion and this one will be for game container. Might need to import it, but it doesn't recognize, but potions and containers. And we need to import potion and game containers. All right. Right after our calculate enemies, or create enemies rather, we say create potions. And we have one for create containers. And let's just create those 2 methods real quick. But we're not going to be able to finish this without going to our help method. Actually, completely forgot that we need some sort of method that can take in the image and return our potions or our containers. So we already have one method that is very similar, and it's this Krabby or get crabs. So we're just gonna go down here, paste it, and it's not Krabby, it's potion. And this one will be called get potions. Need to import potions. The list will be for potions. And if value is equal to red potion, I think it was, but it won't recognize it, so we need to import it. So import static utils constant object constant, and let's just grab all of them. And then bottom here, int value equals color get green, no color get blue. And if it's the red potion, we say list.add new potion, and we will set the position to I times game.tilesize, j times game.tilesize, and then red potion. Else we add the list, but it will be or else if rather value equals blue potion, then we set blue potion like so. But looking at this, we got 2 list adds, and I think we can actually minimize this a little bit by just removing that one and saying if value equals red potion or value is equal to blue potion, then we just say value, and it will be either a red potion or a blue potion, and this looks much cleaner. And of course we need to copy this and add one for our container. So instead of potion, it's going to be game container, and it's not get potions, it will be get game, or rather get containers. But it should be a capital letter. And we need to import it as well. And it's not potions, it's correct. Color get blue if value equals box or value equals barrel. List.add new game container and return the list. So yeah, now we have a method for getting our potions and one method for getting our containers. So back to our level real quick. So when we create our containers, we say containers is equal to help methods dot get containers, and we pass in the image. And for our potions is equal to help methods dot get potions. And that is all, I think. And last we need to add getters for our array list. So public array list potion, get potions, return potions. And of course we need one for the containers as well. Array list game containers, game container, get containers, return containers. All right, that looks good. We also need to change up just a little bit in our level managers when we load the next level, but it won't be too much. All we have to do is in this method, we say get enemy manager, load enemies, get player, load level data, etc. We just game.getPlaying.get object manager dot load objects, which we don't have, and we're just gonna pass in new level objects. And let's create that method, but not at the bottom. Let's keep it up here somewhere. Let's add it at the top here. So what will this method do? Well, we have a potions array here and a containers array here, and we now store them in our level when we create the level. So all we have to do really is to say potions is equal to new level dot get potions, and containers, not container image, containers is equal new level dot get containers. Simple as that. So whenever we load a new level, we just take the array we have here, just like we did with enemies, remove it, or rather set a new array. So that is going to work, hopefully. And I think we can remove this. There's no point in having that. So if everything is working now, we should be able to start the level, or rather start the game, and then it should be visible. But that's actually not true, because in our playing class, we have a method at the top here somewhere that's called load the start level. And this method is the one we call to load our enemies from the first level when we start. Otherwise we won't have any enemies. And the same applies for our objects. If we do not call load objects from the start, then we have no objects. Because in the object manager, the arrays are empty, they are not even initialized. They are declared, but they are not initialized. So all we have to do is to do the same thing for our objects as we did with our enemies. So object manager dot load objects, level manager dot get current level. And I think if we start it now, we should at least see the enemies, or rather see the objects rather in our game. So let's give it a try. It didn't crash, that's that's a good sign. So let's go over here. And nothing. Why is that? They should be in there, right? Did I forget to refresh? I might have forgotten. Let's give it a try. Yes, I forgot to refresh. So if you don't see anything and you've done everything correct, remember to refresh the project. So we have our barrel, our box, and our 2 potions being loaded into our game from the level file. So if we kill this one, go to the next one, they are there. Beautiful. And let's just try the 3rd level. There won't be any difference, I think, but just to see. And they are there. Beautiful. There is one issue that we need to deal with, and we're gonna start with our containers. Our potions don't really care about this or need to care about this. Is that they're not touching the floor, which they should. Because a barrel in the air and a box in the air, it just looks weird. So we need to do something for our objects to touch the floor. So we're gonna do some quick math. And they are all drawn from the top left corner, and then they draw the entire sprite. So the difference between the bottom of the sprite to the floor is something we need to increase our hitbox. So let's go to our game container. So in here for our game container, when we create our hitbox, we need to increase or add to hitbox Y and even X a little bit, so we get the box and the barrel to touch the floor. And that will be actually the same for both of them, because it has to do with the bottom of our image, and both of them are placed on the floor, or rather at the bottom of the sprite, both of them. So that will simply be hitbox.y plus equals to y draw offset, and we're gonna plus it with 2. And I'm gonna explain shortly what that 2 is coming from, or where that number 2 is coming from. So first we're going to move it down by the offset we get from our draw offset, because we are drawing it from the top left corner of the hitbox, not the actual tile, and our hitbox is not the same as the tile. And when we actually draw the game container in our object manager, let's see if I can find it. Let's make it a little bit. Let's draw containers, yeah. We have X, Y, width and height. We are drawing negative the draw offset. So we need to move it back again, or rather move it down once again, so we get it in the correct position from the top left corner. And we get this 2 from the difference of the sprite to the tile. The sprite is 30 pixels in height, and the tile is 2. So if we were only adding the Y offset, let's copy this and give it a try, and then we draw it, then there would be a little bit offset, because now we're drawing from the top left corner of the actual tile, or the tile grid. So that will mean 30 down and 40 across, or 30 in height and 40 in width. But our tiles are 32 by 32. So to get our objects to be on the actual floor, we need to add that 2, which is the difference between our sprites and our actual tile size, which is 32, and our sprites are 30 in height. So if we give it a try now, they should be touching the floor, which they do. And that's looking much better. So yeah, that's looking pretty sweet. And for hitbox.x, we will plus equals x draw offset divided by 2. So we get it in the center. And if we run it now, we can see that the one we have here that I added actually looks to be more in the center. Not directly, because we're drawing it from the top left, then we add a little bit, and then we draw it. So yeah, that's some good progress. Now we need to work on making sure that our objects actually function in the game. So in the object manager here, we're gonna add 3 methods. We're gonna add one for public void check object touched the player, but touched we can call it. And this is simply going to be if the player touched a potion or the player's hitbox overlapped a potion hitbox. If that's the case, then we do something depending on what type of potion it was. And then we need a public void apply effect to player, which is what we're going to call from the one above. If we touch the red one, then we go in here, depending on what type of potion it is, then we do something. And the third one, which will be a public void check object hit. Just like we're checking if the enemy got hit, we can check if the object got hit. But all of these will have a rectangle, or rather a few of them, rectangle.float hitbox. And this hitbox we can use for our check object hit, but it's not going to be actually a hitbox, it's going to be the attack box from the player. So the player attacks, did that attack hit an object? If it did, well, then we need to do something. And I think we can start with the one at the top. So that has to do with our potion. So for potion P potions, if P dot is active first, otherwise we already picked it up, we're not going to try and check it again. And if hitbox dot intersects another hitbox, which will be P dot get hitbox. Now the player hitbox intersects the potion hitbox. We will simply P set active false. We need to add brackets here. And say apply effect to player, but we need to add the potion. So this method needs to take in a potion. And then we can actually return. No, not actually return. Just in case there is 2 potions at the same place, the player picks them both up. Fine, I'm okay with that. So in here, we need to check if P dot get object type is equal to red potion, then playing dot get player dot change health red potion value. Else, meaning there are only 2 types of potions right now, we just say else, then playing dot get player dot change power, which we don't have, blue power potion value. So let's just quickly create that method, which will be a placeholder. So public void change power int value sisu added power. So this is a placeholder, and then when we add the power bar and work on that, we just change this to whatever we need to. But that's good for now. The last method here is for our container. So game container gc containers, not container email, containers. If gc dot is active. All right, now we're gonna try and see if our player attack box hits the game, the container. If gc dot get hitbox dot intersects attack box, then we have a hit. So we say gc dot set animation. We don't have that. Why is that? Game container, or rather game object. Didn't we have one set active? Huh. All right, so public void set animation, boolean do animation. This dot do animation equals do animation. So now we can say gc.set animation true. We need to animate it because we hit it, it got destroyed, it's only one hit, so we're not gonna care about health and so on. One attack and it gets destroyed. And then the idea is not that our potions are just floating around somewhere. I mean, you could add it, that's up to you. But I want it to be dropped if you destroy a object. So if I destroy a barrel, it drops one type of potions. If I destroy a box, it drops another. So if gc.is, or rather get object type equals box, then we're gonna drop one. But we're gonna do the same as we did before. Int type equals 0. If it's box, I think box was the first one. Yeah. So we're gonna check for a barrel. Then type equals 1. And this is just to save some lines of code and make it look a little bit cleaner. Then we just potions.add new potion, x, y, and the type. So for x, we could just go gc.get hitbox.x. And that might be a good idea, but we don't want them to spawn at the top left corner of our hitbox. We want them to spawn a little bit, or rather in the center. So gc.get hitbox.width divided by 2. Then we need to cast this over to a integer, because that's what they are asking for. And then we're gonna do like so. And the same for our y. So gc.get hitbox x, not x, y, plus gc.get hitbox.height. That might be too far down, but let's add a quarter of that. I think that's good. A quarter of the height. And now when we have a new potion, we say return, because we're only checking once if we do get a hit. So if we accidentally trying to destroy 2 boxes at the same time, it's not gonna work. So that should work, but now we need to be able to call these methods from somewhere else and wherever that might be. And those calls are gonna come from our player class. So in our big update method here somewhere, here we have it. We're gonna start with update position right after that, which say if moving, because if we were not moving, or rather if it wasn't going left or right, the moving would be false, so no point in testing it. So if moving, check potion touched. And that one, my friends, we are going to create, and we're just gonna go playing dot check potion touched, and we need to pass in our hitbox, and we don't have this method in playing, but we're gonna add that. Let's see if we have right here underneath our check enemy hit, we add a public void check potion touched, and we're gonna copy this, but it won't be the attack box, it will be a hit box. So object manager dot check object touched hitbox, like so. So now we can check whether or not we touched a potion. And then back to our player. And if we are attacking, we check the attack. And here we check for the enemy if we attack an enemy. But we might as well add a dot check object hit attack box. And we're gonna create that one as well. So public void check object hit. Now we can copy this one again. And object manager dot check object hit attack box. And I think that is all we need to care about. Is there anything else? Yeah, there's one more thing we need to do here in our playing class, and it's in our reset all object manager dot reset all objects. And we don't have that, so let's go to our object manager. There we go. At the bottom here somewhere, public void reset all objects. And we're gonna add, let's just copy this for our potions and for our containers. So for our potions, p.reset, and for our containers, gc.reset. Nothing fancy, it just resets them, and this reset method we already have. Perfect. Now let's see if I can destroy them and pick the potions up. But before we do, let's actually add or change the player health. So at the top here, max health is 100, current health is max health, but let's go 35. And then we start it. So we start with our health a little bit less than half. And let's see if I can pick up the red one. And my health, I'm gonna see if our health goes up. It did. And if I pick up the blue one, we should have some system out in our console. So let's pick it up. Added power. Yeah, I saw it. Added power. Perfect. So those two work. Ooh. Barrel work. Box work. And I can pick those up too. And the last one, pew, works too. That's pretty cool. Let's see if they respawn, if I load a level, and it appears so. I can still pick them up, I can still destroy them, and they still dropped. Wonderful. That is great. Let's see the other levels. Alright, coming here, doink. Alright. Perfect. That is looking really good. Right now our potions are looking pretty good. They are animating, but let's add some hover effect to it. So that's something that would look pretty cool, and it's not too difficult to add. So let's go to our potion class, and in our update method we add a update hover. And let's create that method. To get this to work, we're gonna need a few new variables, and we're gonna have a private float hover offset, meaning the current offset that we are applying to our hitbox. So there is some different. And we also need two integers, so private int max hover offset, and also hover direction, because we're going to go up and then we want to go down. So it's going to be 1 or -1. And we're going to set hover direction to 1, so it goes down the first. And in our constructor here, we can say max hover offset is equal to, need to cast it over to int, then 10 times game.scale. We don't need too much, just a little bit, so 10 is going to be the maximum size of hover offset. So in this method here, we say hover offset plus equal, so we increase it every update, cast it over to no integers, but we're gonna add some parentheses here. 0.75 float. I think that is a good speed. If you want faster, then you increase it. If you want it slower, then you decrease it. But you're gonna have to try it out and see what looks good for you. Then times game.scale, because we want it to be the same in all sizes, and also times hover there. And if it's 1, then it increases. If it's negative, then it decreases. And then we just add some checks here. If hover offset is more or equal to max hover offset, then hover offset is gonna be negative equal to -1. Else, if hover offset is less than 0, hover offset equals 1. So it increases again. And all we then do is hitbox.y is equal to y plus hover offset. And we get y from our game object up here. And this one never changes, but so does hitbox.y. So let's give it a try and see how it looks. And we have a very jumpy hover, which isn't good. Downwards goes well, but not up. And why is that? It's not hover offset. It's hover direction that needs to change. My bad. Let's try it now. Down, up, down, up. Yeah, that looks very good. And if I destroy a barrel, so they spawn a little bit bad. Let's go to our object manager where we added that. We have X and type. So let's remove this one. Let's just go with the hitbox Y and see the difference. Let's give it a try and see. Barrel dropping blue, looking good. Looking good. What about boxes? And that's because boxes are lower than the red one, but we can probably change that by just instead of having it in negative, we can, or rather in positive, we can go minus gc.get hitbox.height divided by 2. Is that going to be too much? Let's see. These are type of values that you have to just play around with and see what looks good. I can still pick him up. Can pick that one up. How about that one? Yeah, it's looking good. I'm okay with that. So that is some great progress for today. Alright, well done. We now got objects in our game and they work great. We can add as many objects as we want in the level files now, which is also great. I hope that you found this episode useful, and if you did, consider subscribing. There will be more episodes in the tutorial. Until then, my friend, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.